Hi all, welcome back to another interesting session about large language model benchmarking systems. We see that a lot of OpenAI or other public open source large language models saying that they have 80% of accuracy, they have 90% of accuracy, so and so. And you can see that here a benchmarking diagram where GPT-4o, a most capable large language model from OpenAI, and O1, another reasoning model from OpenAI, then Sonnet 3.5, the latest one from Cloud A, and Gemini is one of the latest from Google. And each of them is having accuracy percentage is more than 80 percentage on the benchmarking models like math and MMLU. And these are the common benchmarking models and framework used by most of these LLM or foundation model providers to showcase their model's capability. But when it comes to the real world applications, a scenario complex workflow where it need a lot of reasoning power, lot of thinking power, these models sometimes fails miserably. Okay, and that's what we see here in a very special type of benchmarking model called Humanities Last exam. Okay, and this is the video about today. And as if we see, the HLE benchmarking for GPT is just 2%, and benchmarking for one is just 10 percentage. Sonnet is 5 percentage. Gemini is also 5 percentage. Okay, so most of the traditional benchmarking frameworks are outdated with the complexity or with the application we are envisioning for the AI system. So certainly the evaluation framework is not up to par with its application domain. So HLE is one of the counteracting or promising framework which will try to analyze the reasoning power of the large language model systems or AI systems, or if the models is capable of, let's say, 80-90 percentage of benchmarking in HLE, then we can certainly say that the AI system is approaching AGI, the common artificial general intelligence, exactly same almost as the human power, human intelligence power. Okay, so we are going to deep into this new model called Humanities Last exam. It's a benchmarking evaluation framework for large language models. Stay tuned. Now you see another table which showcasing the HLE's framework on the middle column, and the MMLU, which is one of the evaluation framework for the AI and LLM systems, on the right side of the columns. As you can see, the most latest Gemini version is Gemini's 2.5 Pro. It's having only 18 percentage of accuracy for humanities last exam benchmarking, while it has 71 percentage. It's a high score in the MMLU framework. Also, the Gemini 2.5 is having just 12 percentage, while the MMLU is having 80 percentage, while the DeepSeek is having a only 8 percentage. Okay, only 8 percentage, while the MMLU score for the DeepSeek is 73 percentage. Okay, so just imagine how what a difference. I mean, there is a huge separation or huge difference in HLA benchmark and MMLU benchmark. So we are going to see why this difference and why HLE really needed for the next wave of AI agentic systems. Now we are going to see why existing AI benchmark fall short, right? And we are going to take the very famous traditional benchmarking tool called MMLU. MMLU, also known as or stands for Massive Multitask Language Understanding. So we have different benchmarking models like math benchmarking, which is specifically focused on mathematical problems, and then coding benchmark, which specifically focus on the programming task. But here, a massive multitask language understanding means how the model will work in a real life for a different purpose, different scenarios. For example, answering a questions from a teacher or a student, answering a question from physics, answering a question from medical science, answering a question from general knowledge, answering a question on travel itinerary, answering a question on weather information, answering a question on political information. So this data set contain a massive instruction and output from different scenarios. But this fails miserably because of the following reasons. The first one, high score not equal to the real world utility. What this means, we see that GPT models or Flash Gemini models scoring more than 80%, 90%. But if we ask a very solid, complex world questions or world scenario question, it fails miserably because even though the model score high score in MMLU, it doesn't able to answer the real world situations. And the second reason is data contamination. That means already the many of the models is trained with this input and output from the MMLU framework itself. That means it's like we giving insider information to a competitor. Okay, so the model is already trained on these benchmarks data. So whenever we testing this model against the benchmark data, it will always succeed. Okay, and it is also something like we are cheating the benchmarking system. The third reason is narrow focus. I mean, this massive multitask framework, MMLU framework, is spanned across different regions, different domains. So it cannot contain all the use cases. So an evaluation framework should be domain specific, application specific, scope specific. Okay, so that's why we cannot depend on say that a GPT score 90 percentage, Flash Gemini 85 percentage, but in our own enterprises, in our personal scenario, it may give just 20 percentage of accuracy and success rate because the training data is not well enough. Okay, that's what I mean by the narrow focus. That and very important thing here is MMLU does not count the reasoning capability of the large language models. But we know that in the new advanced areas, we need reasoning power of the large language model, which cannot be evaluated with MMLU. Let's see what is humanities last exam benchmark. HLE or Humanities Last Exam is a groundbreaking evaluation framework designed to push AI systems to their limits. And it is developed by a group of persons and experts from AI Safety and Scale AI organization. I will give the description of the URL to this organization in the description of this video. It tests the AI on expert level reasoning. Okay, so the reasoning is a very important keyword in the AI systems going to be in the future. Okay, it's not just memorizing what is learned in the training process, but also the reasoning capability of AI systems is very important. And Humanities Last Exam HLE model evaluation framework is also evaluating the reasoning power of the AI systems. But the traditional frameworks only focus on the memorization, what it learned and what it is giving the output from that learnings. Okay, so that's the main difference, and that's why Humanities Last Exam framework is correctly capturing that reasoning is not good in today's large language models, but at the same time, other frameworks like MMLU, math, and coding, or general purpose framework saying that okay, it have 80 or 90 percentage of accuracy. Is that it is spanned across 3000 questions. Okay, the data set is more than 3000, so it's not very vast compared to other frameworks, but the questions and the data set is very high quality and very complex and real world scenarios focused. Okay, because each question is curated by expert in each field, and it has the question. When it's a math and science, it has the questions from even each sub verticals and sub horizontal and sub practice of each vertical. So if it is science, it has cosmic science, and between the inner intersections and deep knowledge questions which utilize reasoning power. So it's not very easy for a validation engine or a large language model engine to answer the queries unless it is expertised on that context. So a human who trained on this particular knowledge for years and did the PhD level knowledge and have experience on this can answer these questions. But a system just reading from a text may not be able to answer these questions. Once we develop an automation system can answer this question means it have enough knowledge and reasoning power to distill the question and find the probable answer. And each question is regularly validated against the expert. I mean, the answer is also rigorously validated on each scenario and each questions. If you look at their website of AI safety and scale AI, you can see some of the examples. When it comes to the history, it asking questions about the ancient scriptures, okay, the symbols in ancient scriptures. So that's not easy to answer just with pattern matching, but some real scholar who studied in the ancient scriptures and symbols knowledge is really needed to answer such questions. So it's just an example on one particular domain of ancient history or mysterious history or things like that. And finally, the goal of each framework is different. The goal of Humanity Last Exam HLE framework is to measure the understanding or reasoning and problem solving skill set of the large language model. When we are approaching the artificial general intelligence AGI, that means human like intelligence on AI systems, this type of measurement of understanding and reasoning and problem solving measurement is required. But the traditional one, just looking on the accuracy of the model based on pattern matching or memorization factors. Okay, that's why the traditional model doesn't work well, but at the same time, HLE is working well because it's focusing on two different approach in evaluating the large language model approaches. You will see what type of data set we are using in HLE shortly. Now let's look at what is the real secret sauce for the HLE success in evaluating the next generation AI systems. I say it is the test data. Okay, because for each evaluation framework, the test data is the real key. For MMLU, it fails because the test data is already leaked into the system, and it's easy to reproduce the answers because it's just um, a large text-based answers. It's not. We don't need the reasoning power to answer those questions. While in the case of HLE, the question data set is created by thousands of experts from 500 more than 500 institutions by collaborating. So huge effort is put into to create this unique data set which focus on the reasoning power of the large language models. Secondly, each of these questions are curated from around 70,000 submissions. I mean, we didn't take all the questions that submitted into this framework, but we carefully analyzed and only took those complex reasoning measurable questions. Okay, and we eliminate all the normal AI solvable or memory focused questions, and it is also focus on the reasoning power of the LLM model. The goal of the submission and curation of submission is to focus on reasoning power of the large language model. Thirdly, it focuses on multi-modal questions, not just text-based short answer questions, but in case of text-based multiple choice, single choice questions, also image and diagram-based questions, so that a simple text-based matching query will not succeed like we see in other MMLU or any other traditional evaluation framework. And finally, the questions are focused on quantitative reasoning by utilizing mathematical formulas. That's the key and unique difference with HLE framework, Humanities Last Exam framework, and other traditional frameworks like MMLU. These massive frameworks, traditional massive frameworks difference. So the test data, which is created by thousands of experts from 500 of institutions, from 70,000 of submissions, and only carefully selected multimodal, multi-choice questions, which is capable of evaluating the quantitative reasoning of the models. Now let's see how HLE solve the benchmarking crisis in a recap of what we just see now. So HLE address the errors and flaws in the traditional evaluation frameworks by mainly by three reasons. One, avoid contamination. It focus on quality rather than quantity. Okay, so the questions are reject if it's solvable by just accuracy based or memory based questions. It's mainly focusing on the genuine reasoning and genuine capability of the AI models, and it priority over the depth than the breadth. Again, quality, focus on quality rather than quantity. And also the subspecialist domains it's focusing, like advanced linguistic, quantum mechanics. So each scientific domains or each real world domain it's focusing, and it is also focusing on finally the real world relevance. Okay, it's not just treating us just data inputs and data outputs, but it also treating us real world objects. The questions is really taken considering the real world situations, scenarios, and real world objects. So if a question is answered in a different way, or if the question is answered with ambiguity, it can understand how the AI systems will use the reasoning power to solve the ambiguity. So that's why the HLE framework and Humanities Last Exam data set is really a game changer for evaluating the advanced systems. So we are not hearing about these HLE frameworks because none of these creators or providers of models do not want to show that their system performs so poorly in the benchmarking. So that's why they're still showcasing their traditional models to showcase that yes, we have 80 percentage of accuracy and so and so. Once the model have the capacity to really reasonable and thinking is really well on these machines, and then it will advance on this HLE benchmark, then this organization will start advertising about the HLE benchmark as well. Then probably we will hear about this benchmark in near future more, and then hopefully this video will help you to understand what really is this benchmark and why it is relevant. If you like this video, please comment and like this video, and you comment what you do not like on my explanation. Please let me know. And if you want to know any other internal details of AI systems or large language models, let me know in the comment section. I will create an easy to follow video. And also please subscribe and share this with your circles. It will really help me and really motivate me to create more of such interesting videos. See you in another video.